So first of all, thank you for all for being here. It's raining quite a lot now in Eindhoven. I was not expecting that, but thank you so much for being here. Let's start with our webinar about buying a home in the Eindhoven area. First of all, oh, it's not going. Let me, oh, there you go. First of all, today's section will be recorded and shared, so you will receive an email afterwards, I believe tomorrow, with the presentation and also with the video of the webinar. So hi, I can see you now. So yes, you will receive everything, but of course, if you want to take some notes, feel free to do that. We're going to talk a little bit about us, about the whole company, about me, about Ludo, about our colleagues. We're going to talk about renting versus buying, explain to you about all the difference. Of course, about the buying process in Eindhoven, and we're also going to answer the most questions that we see in all the webinars. And I would like also to ask you to pop up all your questions in the Q&A. We will answer them, all of them, at the end of the webinar. So I am Giovanna. I am an expat buying manager. I am from Brazil. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. I call them little devils. So I'm not gonna apologize, but if you hear any noise, I'm at home, so probably you as well. So you probably will hear my kids being a little devils. I moved to the Netherlands in 2009. Actually, I got here first in 2008 to have a feeling of the country. Moved here in 2009, all the way to the north of the Netherlands. I have been living in 3 different cities. I have been rented out a lot of properties for myself, helping other people to do that also. And then I also bought my own house. I renovated the whole house. I sold it. And then I bought another one, I renovated again, and I'm actually thinking about selling again. So let's see how it goes. This is our colleagues, Katie, Alana, Philip, Dominic, Kimo, and this is Ludo. They can see you as well, right?
I don't think so, actually. Only when I speak, they'll be able to hear me.
Okay, so
now
this is
everyone
Ludo.
can see me. I'm almost wearing the same black sweater.
Yeah, exactly. So here we are. We are from all over the world. Katie from Cyprus, Ireland, Belgium, UK. We have colleagues from Australia as well. They are on the rental side, and a lot of countries, different countries, Peru as well. So it's nice to have this expat environment. Let's see. Let's explain to you, show you, talk about us a little bit. We are not traditional rental estate agencies. We don't sell properties. We don't have properties ourselves. We don't have for sell it or for rent as well. We don't have it. We only help you buying or renting a house, not selling it. We go with you through the whole process, of course, but we don't have houses. We don't charge a percentage. We have fixed fees to do our job. We do believe that it's very important for people to have that freedom of choice, to not have a commission. We don't really understand that part. We come back to that. And we know, of course, how what it's like to settle in a new country. I have lived myself in 3 different ones, and if I move again, if I sell my house again, that will be the 16th or 17th time in my adult life that I move. So I guess I can say I like to move. Let's go on. So today we're going to do a full disclosure of our knowledge of buying a house, of the whole market and everything. I want to be clear about one thing. I'm not a mortgage advisor, a financial advisor, but of course we can help you out with a few questions. But please, afterwards, talk to a mortgage advisor if you have deeper questions, to make sure that you have the right answers for the process as well. We'll share opinions, experiences that we've been through through the buying process. But as I said before, always ask a financial specialist. And if you don't have one, please, at the end, you're going to see my email address. Feel free, or tomorrow you're going to receive the presentation. Feel free to send me an email. I can share a few names that I have. I use it for myself as well to do my mortgage process, and many clients also use different ones that are really good ones. So if you need some names, just let us know. We'll be happy to share. let's get to know. Now is the time we would like to do a little poll to know where you guys from, what are the expectations. We have a few questions. Ludo, can you handle that, or shall I handle that?
Well, my question
The
is
first time we're doing this, that's why the questions. It'll be very
exactly. I
quick, though.
think if you could press the poll button, or either make me
did it.
co-host, whatever you prefer,
I just pressed the button.
and probably start poll then, I think.
Oh yeah, lunch poll, of course. Yeah. So I
Exactly.
guess you can all see it. It will
Correct.
take just a few seconds.
Everyone
Let's
is able
see.
to fill it in.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not obliged to fill it in, but please feel free to fill
Yeah,
it in.
I'll give
Also,
you about yeah.
to try and make the webinar a little bit more for everyone that is here. If we have everyone between 18 and 24, it's good to know. If we only have single guys or single ladies, it would also
Fine
be
by me as well. It's nice to know where you guys came, how you find us, and what are the expectations.
exactly.
Oh, I see now. There you go.
Cool. All right.
So
Well, if you're ready, Giovanna,
I
then
think I'm ready. I have the answers. Thank you so much. We're not going to share with anyone your answers, just for us to know or what kind of people we have in our webinars. Thank you so much.
Cool.
There we go. I guess I can close this, and there we go. Again. So today goes is add value to you. We believe in sharing our information freely. We really like to do that. We don't mind to share. First of all, I'd like to begin with some news about the market. I guess you guys heard it about Eindhoven. Not just Eindhoven, but it is being, I do believe, a bit harder in Eindhoven region to find a house. We don't have house for everyone. We have really a lot of expats coming all the time. With Corona, it did slow down a little bit, but we see that it's picking up again. And the people who during the Corona time would live in apartments or tiny apartments or studios are also looking for a home. I can imagine it's not easy to be in a small apartment during the whole lockdown and during the whole working from home thing. So we see that the shortness it's quite big, actually. Let's go further with some news. Though that was in the news in April, that some houses, of course, it is in Dutch, but it says that there was some houses in Eindhoven sold for more, almost 100,000 euros, between 75 and 100,000 euros more than the asking price, the overbid. We're going to talk to explain to you a bit further about that. And I just want to say it's really crazy that is happening. The news says that they thought that last year was already a crazy year for the buying for the market, the whole buying market. But this year is showing us that it's even more that things are growing really, really fast. That is going up even more than we were all expecting. And here is about something that they say that Eindhoven is not actually a very attractive tourist city. We know that, we all know that by now, and we have the Philips and a lot of stuff to see, but it's not really that much to see. But what we see that design, innovation, architecture is bringing more and more people to Eindhoven. A lot of people with a very high background, which is great for the region, of course. Let's talk about the mortgage and the whole process of buying a house. Some news as well. You probably heard of the NHG, the National Mortgage Guarantee, that went up from 3,310 to 325, which means that it's not the purchase price that you can finance with NHG, but it is the value of the house. So the value of house cannot be higher than 325. For you to be able to get NHG. What does NHG brings? What is good to know about NHG? NHG gives you a lot of security. For example, if you lose your job, they will come and depends on the process, of course, pay your mortgage for a while. You're covered for a while. If you get an accident, you're not able to work and pay your mortgage. Those kind of things. It was also created, as far as I know, after the big crisis in 2009 to be able to help out people. A lot of people couldn't pay their house anymore in 2009, and they lost their house, or they had to sell it. And then when they sold the house, they were not able to cover the mortgage actually, because the price went down really quick. So that's why NEHG was created, and it can protect in those cases. Of course, you have to pay a fee. We're going to show you how much is that fee. I believe it's 0.7% of the purchase price. You pay once when you do your mortgage, and then you are able to get NEHG. The interest rates are very, very low, 1.2, 1.3, but it is for houses with a maximum value of 325. So just to give you an example, you cannot buy a house of 400, and then let's say you have a lot of money, and then you're only going to finance 300, for example, 325. That's not the case. It really is the value of the house. It has to be maximum 325, not the purchase price. Another thing that came up this year is the transfer tax exception. So if you are younger than 35 years old, you don't have to pay the 2% transfer tax if you never bought a house before, if it's your first home. The maximum price, it was until April, there was no maximum, and then from 1st of April it changed to 400,000 purchase price. Also, if you have a partner and the partner is older, it's 36, for example, but you are 34, you still get 1% of transfer exception. And also, if your partner bought a house before, but you never did it, and you are younger than 35, you also can make use of the transfer tax, but then in this case, 1%, because the 2% is for the whole process. Let's talk about rent versus buying in our region. I do believe rent is very expensive in Eindhoven, more than I think it should be, and in comparison with other cities such as Utrecht and Rotterdam and Amsterdam. I do for Eindhoven to be compared to those cities, it's compared to those, it's quite a small city, so the rent is very expensive. We can see this apartment at the city center. You probably all know what it is, near to the library. You can see, we can put some pros and I cannot see everything. Give me 1 second. There you go. What is good to know about the rent? Of course, the flexibility. You can finish the contract, you can break the contract, not whenever you want, but it's easy. In about a year or so, you can just rent some on the property and then move away. You have no homeowner taxes or property taxes, no down payments except for deposits, of course, 1 or 2 deposits to be able to rent. The maintenance, the landlord is supposed to do the maintenance of the apartment and the building. And what would be the cons that would be if you rent an apartment? You would lose, I would like to use the word lose, 13.50 per month in this case for this apartment. Not building up equity. What it means is that we see that the market is growing up around 10 to 12% every year. So in this case, you're just paying rent and not getting an apartment to be able to sell in a few years and get the difference. No benefits of the market conditions or risks. And this is the same apartment, it's not the same apartment, the same complex building. One apartment was sold a few months ago. The costs were 398,000 euros. And then we can see here everything, the pros and the cons of buying an apartment. Of course, stability. You can stay wherever you are for as long as you want. Sometimes you do have to leave your apartment, or you cannot put your pictures on the wall, those kind of things. You cannot change everything. You have to use it. It is. Mortgage interest rate deduction, the interest rates are really good. You do build up equity by monthly payments. You always get as well, when you do your mortgage in the Netherlands, you always get interest rate fees, not interest rate fees, but you get something back from the government. You can get monthly payments, or you can choose to because of the taxes, you can get taxes back. So you can have once a year or monthly payments. And the cons, of course, you do have to pay the property taxes and homeowner taxes. Property taxes in the Netherlands, you pay once a year at the beginning of the year. It depends on the property. They can be very high, of course. It's harder to move away because, yeah, you always have to, most likely you have to sell it, depending on the mortgage that you do or where you're going to move to. And the whole maintenance is your responsibility. But it all depends on a kind of, the hard to move all depends on the kind of mortgage and your plans to the future. If you are buying, we always tell our clients, if a house, if you're thinking about buying, or rent, if you are staying in the Netherlands for at least 3 to 5 years, we highly recommend you to buy a house. It's much more rentable for you. You can save money. You can sell the apartment in the future and still make money. So we do believe that will be the best choice. And then here there is a little bit of comparison for you to understand more of the whole. And this comparison, you don't see the returning payments that you get, monthly payments, the returning taxes that you get from the government every month. But you see the amount of rent you pay every year. Of course, that doesn't count for your utilities and those kind of things or any other taxes. And also all the payments you have to do if you buy a house. Keep in mind the closing fees that you have to pay besides the purchase price, of course. But that value you pay only once. So which makes a huge difference. Here we have, oh yes, there you go. Here you have a graphic that can show when what is this, the whole start earning more or less if you buy a property in our area, and why would be such again, if you intend to stay with the property at least for 3 to 5 years. What you need in savings. We're talking about savings because we are talking about the closing fees. Those are the things you will need to be able to buy a house, because in the Netherlands, you can only finance the 100% of the purchase agreement, the purchase price, not anything else, unless, of course, you're going to do some construction, some renovation in the house. So then is a different case. Then it's a different check that you have to do and what the values will be. So here you can see what you need extra besides the whole mortgage, the whole purchase price, the whole the amount of the mortgage that you cannot put in your mortgage. So you have the transfer taxes, 2% of the purchase price. So if you are younger, again, the 35, never bought a house before, you do get the 2%. If with the maximum value of 400,000, of course, you have to pay a notary to do the whole contract, mortgage deed and transfer deed for you. The mortgage deed is tax deductible, as you can see it. Which everything relates to the mortgage. You can see that the mortgage broker or the bank is also tax deductible. Everything related to the mortgage is tax deductible. That's something that the government stipulated to, if it's related to that specific contract and mortgage, then you get your tax back next year. A normal real estate agent charges you 1 to 2% of the purchase price to be able to help you out to buy your house. I have to say I saw one last week that charged 2.5%, so be aware of that. It's quite a high value. Here in our company, we don't charge a fixed fee, a percentage. We have a fixed fee. We have different packages. We can show you that later as well. An appraiser in our region costs around 550, 600. Appraiser in the Netherlands is mandatory for you to be able to get your mortgage if you need a mortgage. So that's why it's tax deductible as well. If you're buying a house that's older than 25 years, we highly recommend you to have a technical inspector before you sign the purchase agreement, and that costs around 425. I put that price for 25 in case he needs to drive a little bit further than Eindhoven city center, because then he would charge kilometers, but at the normal rate, I think it's 375 or something like that. And interpreter, it's between 250 and 250 is for the English one. If you have any other language, it will go up to 400, 500 euros. So that's the tip, get an English one. You need the bank guarantee. We're also going to explain to you what that is a little bit further, and you pay 1% of the amount, but I do believe some banks have a fee around 300 or something, then you can use the bank guarantee as well. And if you would like to have the NHD, if you buy a house that is under 325, you have a mortgage with NHD, you have to pay 0.7% at only one time, and it's also tax deductible. And this is the value you need besides your mortgage that you cannot finance, that you cannot ask the bank you cannot borrow in the bank, and that will be around, I would say, with the transfer taxes, 3 to 5%. If you don't have the transfer taxes, 1 to 3%. Let me go here. Where are you in the buying process? We would like to know a little bit more from you guys now. Where are you standing in the buying process? Just another poll, a little bit very quick. Relaunch, can I do that? Relaunch. Oh, let's see. Yes. So the poll is starting. You can please let us know if you like, of course, let us know how you, oh, no, that's the same question, isn't it?
I think this is the same one. You should be able to find another one called the buying process.
Let me end this one. Results, okay. Nope, I don't think we're gonna have a poll. That's the only one I can see. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We move further. That's fine. That's fine. Next time.
Exactly.
Let's see. There we go. So I have a little timeline for you guys to understand how the whole process works. I think it's easy to see from the beginning into the end. That's why we wanted to do the poll to see where you were. So if you are doing your search now, if you are going to Funda or the websites from the agents, then you are all the way to the started. I had a client this week that called us, and he already submitted an offer and got accepted like 10 minutes before he called me, and they didn't know what to do. So, but everything went okay afterwards. But yeah, let's see. If you start your process, you start to search for the house. And then let's say you find a house, you make your appointment. The next step is to submit an offer. After you submit an offer, you have to make the appointments for the appraiser and technical inspection. And then it's the time to sign the purchase agreement. Between the offer gets approved and the signing of the purchase agreement is around 1.5 weeks. It's really, really fast. And this is a time you have to be very careful because this is the time that they will put all the clauses in the contract that you will know the real value of the house and those kind of things if you're doing that by yourself. So 1.5 weeks is a very short time. So please be aware of that. And after you sign the purchase agreement, you still have, you see the cool-off period ends 3 days after. So you still have the three days to just, if you sign it on, let's say on a Wednesday and you went to bed and you didn't feel comfortable, you actually wake up and said, I don't like this house anymore, I don't want to buy it. You have 3 working days to just pull out of the deal without paying any penalty. If you don't do that, then you can start your mortgage process. And normally it takes about 4 weeks, I would say. Nowadays it's much fast. Actually, I have a client who had approved in 1.5 weeks, but would say 4 to 5 weeks to get your mortgage approved max. That's probably the date that will be in your contract, unless you ask for a different date or didn't put a clause at all. And then after your mortgage gets approved, it's just about, let's say 10-15 days before the handover, your transfer date, the day you there when you submit the offer, knew that the house would be available. About 10 or 15 days before that, you're going to get an invoice from the notary with all the payments you have to do. And that was those payments we saw in here, that they have to be paid around 10 to 15. They will send you the invoice around 10 to 15 days before you get your keys, and they have to be paid, I believe it's 24 hours before the handover date. So when the handover happened, it's a very gray zone. So I want to be clear on that one, because everybody thinks that it's a bit different, but it's about 2 months of liability. You get your keys and you move to the house. And then I always tell my clients, use everything that you can, turn on all the heating system, dishwasher, oven, everything at the first few days, and make sure that everything is working. Because if something happens with the house, you can contact the seller, and I don't want to say they're obligated to fix it, but then you have the leverage of having someone check it and prove that you didn't break or anything. But if you wait into the end of the 2 months, for example, and your dishwasher just broke like 5-6 weeks after you move in, that's just, unfortunately, maybe that's too long of a time to have someone fix it for you. So I always tell my clients, go use everything as much as you can on the first week and see how it goes, of course, and then contact the seller. So this is the timeline of the whole buying process: search, offer, submit, go to a viewing, make an appointment, offer, submit, the offer gets accepted. You have to sign the purchase agreement. Before you sign, make sure you have an appraiser being in the house to tell you how much is the real value of the house, because that's what you're going to be able to borrow. Technical inspection, and then after you sign, you have to start your mortgage application. You still have the 3 days to go completely crazy and give up of everything and not paying anything. But after that, you would pay a penalty of 10%. That's the bank guarantee that we're going to explain to you a little bit further. And then around, I do believe you'll be sooner, but around 4 to 5 weeks, our mortgage will be approved. And then the only thing you have to do is wait into the transfer date, about 10 days before you get the invoice from the notary, and the payments have to be done 24 hours before you get your keys. Who will meet during that process? Robin is a mortgage advisor. He will be the one to share all the information about the mortgage, all the rates, all the providers that the Netherlands have. I think there are around 45 or something providers in the Netherlands. We only, as a person, we have not a person, as I always say a person, because they have access to so many things. They like gods, but we only have access about to 4 or 5 of them, and they have access to many other institutions that provide mortgage in the Netherlands with best interest rates, better interest rates. So that's who you meet. You can also, of course, go to your bank, and they also provide all the interest rates only from the bank, of course, fortunately. So the mortgage advisor gives you a better overlook of the whole thing and all the other possibilities that you can have. He will prepare all your documents to be able to get your mortgage approved. He will submit your application for the mortgage and everything. And also he will chase all the banks for updates and confirmation. That's very important, because you have a lot of different dates in the purchase agreement that they have to be, things have to be done in a certain date, the maximum certain date. So he will be the one responsible to do that for you. Our advice, a mortgage advisor or a bank, for example. I work it myself. I have worked with the bank, with a mortgage advisor. I did went to the bank before, but I did feel like a number, not even a big one, just a number, and they gave me one possibility only. And I had this idea from my first house. I had this years ago. I had this idea that because it's my bank for so long, they didn't charge anything to do the process for me, but they actually do. So does the mortgage advisor. The bank is a bit cheaper, but then he gives you one interest rate from the bank, from their own bank, right? That's it. And the mortgage advisor gave me so many opportunities, so many different places that I could check, and we chose together which one would be the best one for me. And having one-on-one sections, I think that helped me a lot. So for me, it was better to work with a mortgage advisor. Alana, this is my friend Alana. She's also a buying consultant, but she works in the region of Amsterdam. But you meet during the whole process someone that will assist you during the process, doing the whole process of buying, beginning to the end. Here in the region of Eindhoven, that will be me. We have different packages in our company. As I said, we will search, schedule viewings, enjoy you in the viewing, depending on the package of your choice, of course. The most important thing that is that the property research price that we do, and the whole negotiation to send your offer and have the right clause in your offer as well. But it's still, for me, the price research is the most important thing during the whole process, because that from the price research, you can have the real value of the house. And that's very important to see. When you go to Funda and you see the asking price, what I see from my experience dealing with all the real estate people here in the region of Eindhoven, most of the price that are there are not the real value. They are lower than the actual value of the house. So that's why there is a lot overbidding in the region of Eindhoven, but I will explain that a bit later. But that's what I think it's very, very important for you to have. And that's what my colleague Alana and me and Ludo and our whole team, we also do. Negotiate the whole offer, of course, prepare the offer, have the right clause to protect you if something goes wrong. That's very important. And after the offer gets accepted, schedule the notary, appraisal, technical inspector, be there with you through the whole property and review all the Dutch documents, legal documents. They all in Dutch. Most of the time they only have kind of an explanation in English, which makes very tricky with some words for expats and different dates and different way to put it in the contract, or it can harm you very much during the whole process. So please be careful. This is appraiser Michelle. In the Netherlands, it's mandatory that you have a valuation report to be able to get a mortgage. Michelle will do a report for you to be able to get a mortgage. The bank will only give you that if the value of the house is what is expecting, of course. And also the bank will only give you the mortgage as of the value Michelle puts on the report, the appraiser put on the report. So let's say you see a house that costs 300,000 euros and you made an offer of 320, for example, but then Michelle goes to the house and tells that the house is only worth it 315. So that difference, those 5,000 euros, you're going to have to pay for yourself, because the bank will only give you a mortgage of 315 of what she puts on the report. She will determine the value, look at comparable properties sold in the recent past, and also the condition. Even if it's an apartment, she has to look at all the owner association documents as well. They are quite a lot, but in those documents you can see if amount the money they have, what are going to be the change in the building, or if they have insurance, if they don't, those kind of informations. She will review everything, of course, and also send to any WWI. That's a independent party in the Netherlands that makes those reports. It has to be an official one, of course. The report itself will be done. We put 3 to 7 days, but nowadays it's taking a little bit more time because they're very, very busy. I would say 7 to 10 days to be ready. But if you have a value, that's already enough for your mortgage advisor to continue the process. Millie is the building inspector, the technical inspector. It's not required. That's something that you have to decide for yourself, or with your agent, of course. We always going to tell you when we think it's necessary. I can give you an example. If you buy, my house is from 1929, 29, yeah, I think 29, 23. So when I bought the house, I knew I was supposed to do renovation. I wanted to do renovation. I wanted to renovate the whole house. So a technical inspection is for me was necessary to see what was the deeply wrong problems in the house, because it's too old, right? So depends on how much they put on the report. A roof can cost up to 30,000 euros to fix it, or leakage, those kind of things. So that's what the building inspector will look. But we only tell people to do that when the house is older than 20 to 25 years. Before that, unless something's really wrong in the documents from the house, then we don't think it's necessary. But of course, that's something we're going to decide with you. But the inspection will be a visual inspection. I always tell my clients as well to be there with the inspector, because if you have any questions regarding the build itself, sorry, then she can answer right away. And in a few days, I believe in 1 day or so, we're going to get a report with all pictures and values and how much it costs to change things, and how long, when you have to change in 0 to 1 year, 2 to 5, and 5 to 10 years, something like that they put on the report. So then you can see the values as well. They always put the higher value, of course. but then you can see what you have to fix and if it's necessary to fix something in the house. Again, it's not legally required. That's why you don't get tax back on that as well. But it's very much necessary, especially if you're buying something really old or something that they never, that they didn't took good care of it. The notary is also something mandatory in the Netherlands. You need a notary to be able to do a mortgage deed and transfer deed for you. The notary create legal binding agreements between you and the seller and you and the bank. What I like about the notaries in the Netherlands is that they do a kind of background check in the house. So they go through all the documents since that the house was built and check if everything is okay. I think it's very important to do that. It's not just for them to create a mortgage deed excuse me, or a transfer deed, but they do a whole a background check to see if there's nothing wrong in the other purchase before or with the first owners or something like that. I had a case before that the notary found out that we bought an apartment for a client. We helped her with the buying of the apartment, and then the day of the notary found out in the documents, and the old documents, the apartment was from 1960s, 70s or something, that the seller of the apartment that my client bought it changed the oh my god, the what's it called now? I forgot the name. Changed the everybody has a storage. They changed the storage. You have a storage in the building. Everybody has one. When you buy the apartment, it comes with a storage. It was on near to the parking place, and because he was such an old man when he bought it, and his storage was very far from the elevator, so he changed the storage with someone to get near to the elevator. So yeah, so then when my client bought it, she was buying the apartment with the storage near to the elevator, but actually her storage was at the end of the corridor, very far away from the elevator. And it was even bigger than the one we saw it during the viewing. Nobody knew that. And the seller and the notary found out about everything. In this case, it was easy. We just changed storage. Everybody was fine. But that's why the notary does all this background check, which it's very good for you. It protects you and the seller as well. And they make the purchase agreement. They make the transfer deed here in North Brabant. The purchase agreement is made by the makelaar, the real estate agent. So you don't have to go to the notary to sign it. You sign and it's sent to the notary afterwards, and then they start the whole process. We put together a lot of questions that we always have during the webinars. So then it would be easy for you to have a big picture of the whole process. So one of the questions is, what happens if you want to leave the country after several years? So what happens if you buy a house and you just want to leave, right? First of all, don't buy a house if you're not going to stay here from at least 3 to 5 years. That's our first advice. Second of all, so let's go to those steps 1, 2, 3. But my first advice is don't buy it if you're not going to stay here for that period of time at least. But let's see. Keep your home, but have mortgage costs. Yeah, that's exactly what will happen. You still have to pay your mortgage, and a lot of banks, a lot of mortgage. You need permission to rent your apartment in case if you leave the country. So the bank might not give you permission, or he might ask you to change from a normal mortgage to a buying to let mortgage, which have very much different interest rates, and you're probably going to have to pay an amount as well, because when you have a mortgage of buying let, you can only have a mortgage of 70%, and 70 is a 70, I think it's 70 or 80%. But then if you buy a house for yourself that you're going to use yourself, then you can have a mortgage of 100%. So that's something that the bank can make you do it. Also, the bank can make you sell the house as well, because you do have to ask permission and you are leaving the country. Depends where you're going and how the situation is. Of course, everyone has a different situation, so it depends on the situation, but that's the big picture. That's what can happen if you leave the country. The good thing is about it that if you sell your house in the Netherlands, you don't have to pay any penalty. And what it would be good if you sell after 3 to 5 years, you're going to earn a bit more money that you sold when you bought it, of course, because the market is going higher and higher every year, but still you have to pay the taxes and everything. How much can I borrow from the bank? So that there are some rules, of course, for you to be able to borrow. First of all, you need to know how much your amount is, what based on your salary, and it depends from everyone has a different salary and a different way to different things in the salary that for some banks there are different values. For example, there are banks that don't accept the bonus, there are banks that don't accept 13 salaries. So that's why a mortgage advisor come in handy on this case, because he will see your payroll and will tell you immediately what bank will accept everything that you have. But also the bank will only give you what the appraiser put in the report. So it doesn't matter if you have a budget of 500, but you're going to see a house of 300 and the seller, the appraiser do a valuation report and said that the house only, the value is only 320. The bank will only give it to you 100% of the value of the property. So that's going to be 320. It doesn't matter if you can borrow much more than that. So that's how more or less you can know how much you can borrow. Residential mortgage or buy to let, that's different. You see 70%. So that's if you have own occupation obligation. If you have a residential mortgage, that's a mortgage to buy and to live, not to rent. So then you have to live in the house. That's mandatory. And some banks will even put in the mortgage deed that you're not allowed to rent, or you're only around to rent after a year, or you have to ask permission for rent. So it really depends on the mortgage you're going to do, and not just the mortgage, but more the institution you choose to have the mortgage. The interest rates are much lower, of course, if you buy the house for your own use. And if you buy a house to rent, you can only borrow 70%. The interest rates are a bit higher as well. You can also have mortgage or renovation loan, value of the house 100%. That's why we talked about it. If you can have a renovation for the house, you also need an appraiser to tell the bank how much the house will be worth it after you do the renovation, and you have to prove that you're going to use that money. You have to send invoice for the bank, every single invoice. Believe me, I did for 2 houses. It's very annoying, but it is possible. And if you can prove, the appraiser put in the report that with the whole renovation you're planning to do, the house will add value to the house. That's more or less what the bank will borrow the money. If they really see, the appraiser see that the value of the house will increase in a certain amount. But I don't think you are able to buy borrow 100% of the money for renovation. You probably can borrow around 60 to 70%, with luckily 75% with lucky. So I'm not 100% for sure you can't, because the house will never have that such. You cannot borrow 100% and then the house will also have a value of the same amount. That's not going to happen. So basically, if you buy a new kitchen, you build a whole new kitchen and it costs 20,000. It's not that the house will be 20,000 euros more worth it. So I think it will be around 12 or 13,000 max. The value, the more add the value if you put a new kitchen, for example. Can I rent out my house or a room? Oh, that's something. So with a residential mortgage, most of the banks will say, no, you're not allowed to rent it, because you do need to have permission. It will be in your mortgage deed. They will put that on the mortgage deed. So you sign in the notary and say that you need permission to rent. So, and a lot of them will come that you're not allowed to. Only a room. Can you rent only a room? It's allowed for 2 people without permit. not allowed for some areas. So there is a website in the presentation you can see, and you can have a research and see which areas you are allowed to and which areas you're not allowed to. This is changing every year. Just pay attention to that if you buy a house and you wanted to do that. But as far as I know, there's no maximum of people that you can, not in Eindhoven so far, that you can register in the house. So that's something you also have to look for, because I believe in Amsterdam you have a maximum per property, right, Ludo? Yeah. So 4, he's saying 4. That's 4 maximum per property. Well, depends on the space. I believe they don't let 4 people live in a 28 square meter. Exactly. So, but in Eindhoven so far there's no maximum, but just please check the website below, and then you can have a bit more information about it as well. What's the typical amount that should be overbid? So that's something we were talking about, when do you offer? And I see when I go to viewings with my clients that a lot of agents tell them they don't know I'm the agent, or or they just went by themselves and let me know afterwards. They talked to the other agent and they told them that they have to bid 10, 20, 25% above the asking price. So that's something that's very catchy. That's something they do, especially with expats, because the market's going so crazy. That's something that it seems like you have to do it all the time. But if you take a look of this, and if you have paid attention to about what I said about the real value of the house, then you can see that's not always true. And especially here in the region of Eindhoven, as I said it before, when the values you see on Funda are normally not the real value of the house. They're actually lower than what the actual price of the house is. So here there is a simple example here. I'm losing my voice little by little. I'm so sorry. As you can see here, let's say you bought a house and the price is 460. But the asking price on Funda was 400, and then afterwards, but your offer was 460, and afterwards the appraiser went to the house, and the actual value of the house, the real value, the value that you can have a mortgage, is 430. You see, so there at the beginning, someone told you that you needed to overbid a lot to get the house, but actually the real value of the house, it was 430, and then you overbid 15% because they told you it's necessary. And then when the real value of the house is actually 30K above the asking price, not the 60 that you pay for it. So that's why price research is really, really necessary when you send you an offer. So actually, you only needed to overbid 7.5%. Of course, if they have higher offers, that's a different conversation. But we are talking about the value that people always telling, that the agents are always telling other people that they have to bid 15, 10, 20. I heard even 30% more of the asking price in one house in Eindhoven. And I was like, oh God, no, that's just a no. So that's why you have to be very careful. Another example here, if you overbid 20%, 21%, like they said, from the asking price. Again, purchase price 460. The house, the asking price on Funda was 380, but the market value, it was very high. You see 430 already. So 430 is already a really good offer, actually. So again, you're only overbidding 7.5%, and you didn't have to go to the 21%. So that's why you cannot think when you go to viewings and the agents tell you, oh, you have to overbid 20% or 15% or 10%. Please be mindful. Most of the time, the asking price is not the real value of the house. It's normally the asking price. It's not a real. Normally the real value is a little bit higher, or it depends on the property. In this case, for example, it's much higher than what they were asking. They were doing that to have more people in the viewings, to have more competition, to scare people. So that's normal. So you can see the difference. So that's, again, price research, very important. And this is also depends area to area. It really depends on the neighborhood to neighborhood, from the cities around Eindhoven as well. There are big difference in prices as well. So it really depends. Again, that's why the price research is really necessary. What is the 10% deposit I need to complete. So that's the bank guarantee we were talking about it. We say 10% deposit because you can also pay with your own money that amount. So the 10% deposit is a down payment for the purchase price. So you bought a house of 300,000 euros and you need to pay a down payment, a deposit of 10% of the purchase price. So 30,000 euros have to be transferred to the bank account of the notary. So that is mostly used to as a penalty if something happens. Let's say your mortgage is not approved and you didn't have financial calls, then you have to pay 10%. Or after the 3 days of the cool-off period, I don't know, after 25, 50, a month after, your company said that you're going to move to another country, and then you just want to break everything, to break the contract or everything. So you have to pay 10% to the seller. So that's exactly what this money is for. Of course, it's not going to be used that easy. A lot of people, it has to be proof. You need a lawyer, the seller need a lawyer, a judge will decide how it goes. But in the Netherlands, it's mandatory. It will be in all the purchase agreements. You can pay with your own money. You don't have to. You can borrow that amount from the bank. I think they charge about, I think we saw it at the beginning, some banks charge a percentage of the purchase price, and some banks, most of them is a fee. It's around 250 euros to be able to do the deposit of the 10% and send to the notary. And that money will be in the notary until the day of the transfer. What are our fees? What are your fees? So we have two packages in the company, a smart and a complete package. A smart package is most of the things are done online. We will support to the whole process, of course, do the property review, to the offer submission of the offer, contract review, everything, book appraiser, technical inspector for you, go through all the contracts and be there with you every step of the way, but online. And if you go for the complete package, we will be there with you literally in all the viewings in person. You see us a lot. We're gonna get in touch. Let's say not so close, 1.5 meters, remember. What impact does COVID-19 have on the house market? We get that question a lot. So we put together also a graphic where you can see the development of average house price in the Netherlands. And yeah, it's just really, we saw a difference in the market at the beginning of COVID. The lockdown started, I think, was beginning of March last year. So I think by then I had around 15, 20 clients or so. And what I saw, it was they were a bit afraid, of course, to buy it. And everybody decided to put a stop to the process for a few months and see how it goes. So after 3 months, nothing changed. COVID didn't go anywhere. Life was going just further and further. And the house market was just kept, going higher and higher. So everyone decided to buy it again. So we saw a slow down period, not from the houses, but not from the market. We just saw people just waiting a little bit to see what would happen. Nothing happened. The market just went crazy again. And then people continued to buy. And last year, I have one data, you probably know Valkenswaard, a little village here nearby Eindhoven, about 10-12 minutes by car. And who bought a house there in 2020 in February, comparing to 2021 February this year, the houses went up 10.9%. So it's really crazy. So we don't see, and I think it was even May was it, or April, that the houses went up. It was like the highest of all times. The houses, the people who bought the houses last year in May, comparing to 2021, May 2021, the houses went up 14%. So it's not slowing down whatsoever. But I also always tell people, it seems like the whole world has a big crisis, and the Netherlands just like enjoying it. I don't see anything happen. So it's just so weird for me. I'm from Brazil, so it's really weird for me. Although I'm here a long time, 13 years, but still, I don't see nothing happens. Nothing so bad happen with the market, what people, losing house or anything. So it's actually the contrary, which is great. It's just growing and growing and growing, especially now, especially in our region with ISML, for example, going records and selling everything and just growing, keep growing. So we don't see anything bad happen in the future. We do believe that we want that to slow down a little bit, not that the prices go down, but it's just the craziness maybe slow down a little bit, but we don't see as you can see, the market doesn't have any problem with COVID so far. We are wondering about after October, when the winter started again, maybe the cases will go up again, and then people get a little bit more scary again. But with the whole vaccination process, yeah, it's really something like that. We don't really know what is going to happen. Does work with H&N add a value? Of course. How could I say contrary? No, I really like what I do. I really like working with people, and I've been in this market for quite a while. I had to search houses for myself. I was lucky that when I bought my first house, it was end of the crisis. So we bought for a very low price comparing to today. And when we sold for a huge amount. But still, even on that time, if I had a agent, I would have bought it for less. And I didn't know the whole process by then. I knew about the whole rental process, but not the buying process. So it does give, yes, a lot of value, especially to have someone with you through the whole process, to guide you, to sign the right documents, to do the right thing. I see a lot of people getting in trouble because of the 10%, for example. They didn't even know it was mandatory, or they didn't know it was in the contract, or they didn't know they could not break the contract. Small things that make such a huge difference. But it's, for me, is having someone that cares it's what makes the whole difference. I think I do believe that our company really cares what is going to happen with you and your family, and have we are all expats, and we've been all over the world, and feel at home. It's something that it's necessary to continue to grow and to have a better life. So I do believe we add value actually a lot. So I hope I answered the question. Let's see. Something else about our company, of course, selling agents take offers from H&N more seriously. That's something that is really true. I see the difference when I call a lot of them that we have a relationship. Of course, they know me. Eindhoven is not that big anyway. So they know me, I know them. And then when I call, I always get them on the phone, and then I have clients that try to do themselves before, and they don't talk, and then they call me and said they don't talk to me, and then in 10 minutes they do talk with me. So that makes a difference. They know we always check everything with our clients. We make sure that they have enough financial background to make that offer, that they are serious about it, that they have all that is needed to go through the end of the process. So that's why selling agents prefer to work with agents, with agents. We do sometimes book viewings when our clients are not can no longer book them viewings. It happens all the time on Funda. I see my clients say I couldn't get that viewing or something like that, so they would call me, and I would sometimes I can't, but a lot of times it's possible for me to book a viewing when they can't. That helps a lot. Supporting all the Dutch legal documents and all the property documents as well, especially if you buy an apartment. There is a lot of documents. I think it's about 20 PDF files that you have to go through, and believe me, they are all important. You should check them because it makes a huge difference. And just so you know, I do speak Dutch, but I do have also my colleague Ludo that backs me up when some crazy word in the Dutch language comes up. Thanks, Ludo. help define the market value through market data. That's the price research. It's very important that you know the value of the house, of course, to make the right offer and see what is necessary to be able to get the house. We will inform you about rules and regulations. There are different rules and regulations for different process. For the whole process of buying, it depends where you're buying or who you're buying with or the bank you're using. So there are different things that you need to know. And we make sure you don't make the same mistakes I made. Oh, this is so personal. Yes. Yeah, because we all did in the beginning. As I told you, I didn't have an agent. I should have made a better deal. I was just lucky that the crisis was there still. I was renting at that time. We were changing jobs. We got a lot of money in between. So we were able to buy in that time. But today I just it's actually embarrassing that I didn't know some things. So there you have it. Your experience, my experience. So oh, this is supposed to be a poll again, wasn't it? Oh, I can't do it anymore. So that's a shame. Let me see. No, I can. It's just the same thing over and over again.
We'll do it for next time.
Yes, we do it next time. We want to know what you think about the oh, let me close now. What do you think about the whole, oh, and then it goes. So let me come back. There you go. We want to know what you thought, what are your thoughts about the webinar, but we do it in an expo.
What you
But
could
please
do
feel free.
is, if you do have any tips or feedback, or if you would like to share your experience, there's a chat
Yeah, that
button
would be
down below.
great.
So
Yes.
you can definitely put it in the chat, and we can take this forward then.
Yes, that would be great. I appreciate that. So feel free to schedule intake with us. You can go to our website or just click at my face. That sounds so weird. And but you can schedule a time with me. I think you'll be able to see my email address. So if you will receive this presentation again and the video tomorrow, so you get my email. If you have any questions, if you forget anything, or if you need any tips, just let me know. I don't mind to share the information. Thank you so much for being here. Ludo will help me out with all your questions that we have in the Q&A. Do we have questions?
Yeah, we do. We have a few questions. Thanks very much for popping them in the Q&A, everyone. I will go over the questions that I haven't answered yet, or haven't been answered yet during the webinar. The first question is from Ashton. Please excuse my pronunciation, by the way. We have people from all over the world, so I'm doing my best, but sometimes my Dutch my Dutch background can't pronounce it. But I think Ashton I still got, so that should be good.
I think so.
Question for you, Giovanna. When and how does bidding take place? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So after you go into the viewing, I always tell my clients, for example, there are questions you need to, things you have to ask. First of all, when is transfer date? When is the bidding deadline? It depends on the real estate agency. They will tell you, they will give you like a paper or something, or they will send you an email saying the day and the time you have to send an offer. For example, you are in the house, today is Tuesday. Let's say you're going tomorrow. Most likely going to have to send an offer by Friday, 12 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So they will let you know when and the maximum time you have. So Friday until 5 o'clock. So, and then they will tell you how to do it. Some of them like to use move.nl. It's a website where they can put all the documents from the properties and where you can do the bidding as well. And it is in English. It's quite easy. You can choose English or Dutch. So there you see. But when you go into the viewing, they will let you know. If they don't say it, please ask. And ask if there is a deadline. Sometimes there are companies that they don't have a deadline. And when they don't have a deadline, I very much advise you to send your offer as soon as possible. So then you have more chances, of course. But if there is a deadline, then I would say wait a little bit and do your price research, do your property research, and then you send your offer on that day.
Cool. And well, the way that we do it is via the email. I think that the Ashton also asked us if it was over the phone. We call the selling agent right before the deadline to get as much information as possible. But at the end, we send the email over we send the email over the email, of course, the offer over the email.
Yeah.
That is how we do it.
It's nice to ask though what they I have been in contact with some agents that they want to have a specific in one way. Sometimes they give you a bidding form when
Yeah.
you are in the house, and they only want to see the offers on that specific bidding form. So you fill it up and you scan and you send via email. Some of them will say, well, you have to go to move account. If you don't go to the move account, then we don't accept it. But most of them are okay with you sending the email.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Okay, then we have a question from an anonymous attendee. Do we actually also provide a service which makes it easier to get viewings before houses actually show up on Funda?
Well, no, we don't have that service, and that there's no let me honest with you. Before this whole crazy market, I would say 2 years ago, I would even say 1.5 year ago. No, COVID is here 1.5 year ago. So no, yeah, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I used to receive calls from agents asking me if I had someone to come to the house before they put the house on Funda, because it was not that insane. People were not buying. Interest rates were about 3%, so it was a huge difference. So there was no NHG, which 325. It was 275, I think. By then it was a very low price, and it was much different. But for the past year and a half, I think I had like 3 calls of people ask me if I had any clients for any house. Because think about it, if you're selling your house and if you put on Funda, you get 100, I don't know, 30,000 people to see the house online, and come to a viewing, you get at least 60, 70 people. Why would you call someone to have one person in the house before? So it's not logic. But I do know in Eindhoven that there is this talking about getting the house before. Yes, that was a real thing. I did get houses a lot before, and my clients bought the house before went to Funda. But in that time, there were no 100 people running after one house. And especially if it was an old house that needed renovation. But I can give an example. Today, I actually had a call from an owner of an apartment in Eindhoven offering me the apartment and see if I had someone, because the apartment's 2 weeks on Funda already. I thought it was strange. So I thought, okay, and especially in Eindhoven, where people are buying like crazy. So I went to look at it. And the thing is, they're going to build another build in front of the apartment, literally like 10 meters away. So you get to your terrace, which is gigantic in this apartment, super nice. And boom, you are in someone else's window. So that's why it's not selling it. You see, it's not because the market, that's why would you buy an apartment like that? It's going to take a while, because now it's a huge view. It's amazing. But yeah, so we used to get houses before, yes, but with this market, not anymore. No. So but if you become my client and someone call me, of course, and offer me the house, of course I would totally share with you. And we do call the agents and let them know and everything that we have a client that wants this or that. But yeah, so far the market is way too many people for one property, and they get much more higher bids and offers if they keep the property on Funda or even on the web page only.
For sure. Okay, cool. And then we have a few questions from Yas. Yash, has a few questions that have already been answered. So we are actually going to share this presentation, but also share the recording.
Yeah.
So feel free to go back to the webinar tomorrow. We'll probably send it,
Yeah.
and then we'll gladly answer all the other questions. For now, I'll go over the unanswered questions. Her first question is, in case we purchase a property and still want to keep it, even if moving outside of the Netherlands to another country in the EU, for example, what are the processes to still own? And in the first place, are people allowed to do it actually?
If you move out and keep the property.
Yeah.
Well, it really depends on kind of mortgage you have. First of all, you're going to keep paying the taxes. You're going to have, you need permission to rent the house, unless you don't want to rent it. You just, yeah, I don't think you're going to just close the door and just pay taxes and pay the mortgage. I believe you would like to rent the house. First of all, you need permission from the bank to do that. I don't know any bank that just allow from nowhere or not. You have to ask permission. That's going to be on your mortgage deed with the bank in your contract. But keeping a Dutch bank account, of course, is very important, because then they see that the apartment is being paid, and it might be that they might not force you to sell the apartment. But if you completely leave the country, deregister of everything, I'm most sure that the bank will force you to sell the house or the apartment.
Exactly. Okay, another question from Yash is, can I actually use my property as a company address?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Well, it depends on the company as well. If it's a complex building, for example, there are a few things that you have to follow. But yes, it's a lot of people in the Netherlands have their own houses registered in the company name as well.
Unless you're going to start a factory or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think you can
Hospital,
do that. No,
then
they might not allow that.
no.
Yeah, but a small company is fine. Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Let's see. Another question from Yash is, after selling the house, I know there's no capital gains tax as long as we move the money for a newer property. How do you take into consideration about the other costs related to the remortgage?
Ooh. The costs are the same, though. You have to pay the same taxes. Doesn't matter how many houses you buy it, and then you're not going to have the 2% discount anymore, because you already bought another process if you're younger than 35, for example. But the taxes are the same. Doesn't matter how many houses you buy it. You have to pay appraiser. You have to pay technical inspection, notary, translator if you don't speak Dutch yet, and the costs are the same for every single house. There's nothing less that you would pay. The transfer tax is even something you have to add. Then if you already bought a property, you cannot have the discount anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And his or her last question, can a property, house, apartment, whatever, a property be purchased by two people? So not a couple or a family or whatever, but just by two friends?
Yes, I just have a client. We closed the deal Friday last week in Den Haag, actually. There are two friends. They were sharing an apartment for 3 years, and then they talked to a mortgage advisor, and the mortgage advisor told them that it's okay for them to buy together. They did have to sign a different term, that they were not a couple, they were just friends and those kind of things, some kind of different responsibilities in the contract. But yeah, sure, it's possible. Yeah.
All right. And then we have our last question of the evening from RJ. When do we actually pay your fees? So Expat Housing Network's fees.
Yeah, you have good question. You have to pay a deposit once you become a client. If you choose for the smart package, you pay 199, and if you choose for the complete package, pay 399, if I'm not mistaken, as a deposit, and the rest of the amount you pay once you get your keys. So if you become a client today, you pay 199, for example, for the smart package, and let's say your transfer date is in, I don't know, December, then you pay the rest in the notary in December.
Exactly.
That's when you pay us. And if it takes you, I don't know, 10, 20 houses, we are here until the end, until you want us to be.
We just got an extra question from Han Chen for the kostenkoper, which means the buying cost, actually. As I know, it will be 8% for the transfer tax for the second house. What if I sell the first house? Do I still need to pay 8% to buy a new house?
8% if you buy to let, not to live yourself. To live yourself is 2%. But if you buy to rent, to let, then you have to pay 8% taxes. Okay. And yes, you're going to pay every time you buy it something, you're going to pay taxes. You only get a discount once if you are younger than 35 and the house is cheaper than 400. But if the other house, you pay taxes for all of them. But if you want to rent the house, if it's a mortgage buy to let, then you pay 8%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's maybe easy to explain that it's normally always 8%. That's always a transfer tax. Then you have the discount if you get a residential mortgage, then you get 6% discount, which it becomes 2%. And then if it is also your first house, you're under 35 and the house is under 400K, then you pay no transfer tax. But after that, if you are going to live in the property, you're going to pay every single time 2%.
Every single time.
If you are going to rent it out, then you're going to pay 8% every single time.
Every single time. Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's quite high, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It can be
Yeah.
substantial for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. That was it.
So that was it for us as well. Thank you so much. You will receive the presentation and everything tomorrow, I believe. And please feel free to ask me any questions if you just remember afterwards by email. I don't mind to answer them. Thank you so much for being here. And I guess that was it. Thank you. Thank you, Ludo, for your help.
Of course. Thank you as well.
Yeah, have a nice evening as well.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.